What we need is not more medication, but more education, because the best prescription is knowledge. This is Expose coming to you live from Lagos, Nigeria, every Monday on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook simultaneously. And I'm your regular host, Tony Akiyami. Don't forget, what we need is not more medication, but more education, because the best prescription is knowledge. Welcome to Expose. I'm your regular host, Tony Akiyami, and this has been brought to you by the Shepherd's Flock International Church. Expose comes up every Monday, 8 p.m. Nigerian time, on 3 different platforms simultaneously. We are live right now on Instagram, on Facebook, and on YouTube. If you have joined us on YouTube, please don't forget to press the subscribe button as well as the notification bell. If you are watching us on Facebook, please like us on Facebook. And if you are watching us on Instagram, follow us on Instagram. Please send and share this after you have viewed it today. Share it with your friends. Let them get to know about Expose. This is where we reveal, unveil, and expose health and wellness information for your health transformation. We believe to be informed is to be transformed. To be uninformed is to be deformed. We believe that the best prescription is knowledge. But what we need is not more medication, but more education. The Bible says you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. What you don't know may be killing you. Again, the Bible says the just shall be delivered by knowledge. We believe knowledge is powerful. We have started a series on medical systems. In the first 2 episodes in this series, I shared on different medical systems: allopathy, naturopathy, homeopathy, chiropractic medicine, osteopathy, traditional Chinese medicine, African traditional medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, Oriental medicine. I gave just little introductions to each of those medical systems, and I promise that I'll be bringing practitioners and experts in the various medical systems so we can drill it down. Further. So you understand the principles and the concepts of each medical system, and then you'll be able to make your decisions and choices because of the many options available to you out there. So far, we've been able to interview an integrative doctor, a functional medicine practitioner. We have also been able to interview a homeopathic doctor. We have interviewed a herbal medicine practitioner. And today we are privileged to have another practitioner of another medical system in the house, and that is naturopathy. Naturopathy happens to be one of my very favorite medical systems, because when I was going through my own health challenges, one of the doctors that really supported me and helped me under God to pull through was a naturopathic doctor. Of course, he was a 3-in-1 doctor. He was a naturopathic doctor. He was a chiropractic doctor. And he was a medical doctor. So he was MD, ND, and DC. 3-in-1. I will always be grateful to Dr. R. Ernest Cohn of the Holistic Med Clinics of the Carolinas in a small town called Wilkesboro in North Carolina, USA. He was the one that God used to work with me and to walk me through all the various principles and modalities of naturopathy in particular that helped me in my journey towards recovery and wellness as well as well-being. And so today we have a naturopathic practitioner in the house who incidentally is also one of our facilitators at Rapha Institute of Healthy Living. And in case you have not attended Rapha Institute, I want to encourage you to plan to attend. We have both online and in-class sessions. And so wherever you are in the world, you can actually join us and take any of our modules. We start with module 1, and then you progress to module 2, module 3, module 4, module 5, module 6. And that is by way of empowering yourself, equipping yourself to be able to support yourself, support your family members, and those in your sphere of influence. So today we are drilling down on naturopathy. And the person who will be having that conversation with me today is no other one than a naturopathic doctor who also has many other areas of experiences. She will be using her own mouth to introduce herself to us today. I'm honored to have in the house today Mrs. Nike Aladeshuyi, a naturopathic practitioner and who also has backgrounds in many other areas, which she will reveal to us today. You're welcome to Expose today.
Thank you very much, sir.
It's an honor to have you here.
It's a great privilege to be here.
And thank you for obliging us when we called upon you. Anyway, you have no choice. You just have to be here. You just have to be here. We thank you, by the way.
Thank you,
and
sir.
So let's begin with this. I believe our viewers would like to meet you. They want to know, who is Mrs. Aladeshuyi? What is her background? Because one of the things people normally ask me when I talk is they say, what are your credentials? As if the credentials is what will bring the healing. One day, one person, challenged me, a medical doctor, challenged me. He said, what are your credentials? You keep making categorical statements just like that. He said, what background do you have? I said, my credentials are ex-diabetics, ex-hypertensives,
wow,
ex-arthritis. I said, those are my credentials, not paper credentials. Of course, you didn't like it. But anyway, that's just by the way. So let's meet Mrs. Aladeshuyi. Who is Mrs. Aladeshuyi? Tell us about particularly your training, your experience, your, areas where you have been certified or you have received training or you have experience in this field of health and wellness in particular, or maybe any other area of interest. But we just want to know, who is Mrs. Aladeshuyi?
Okay, thank you very much once again, sir, for having me. I call you Daddy. I'll still call you Daddy on this show. So, Nike Aladeshuyi, first of all, I'm a child of God. And I was privileged to be born into a family where I was raised as a child to grow to love God. And how did I come into all of this? My father used to wake up in the morning and take juices. Okay. We just blend tomatoes and drink. And then we used to say, yuck. I mean, what's that? And then my mother had hypertension and decided to go herbal. So the whole house was smelling of garlic. And which I practically stopped entering their bedroom because the smell was awful. Gosh. And she survived now for close to 20 years on just herbal things, but I was not interested. I was just not interested because of the smell and the preparation, the concoction. They looked awful and all of that. But I had my basic training in science, laboratory technology, microbiology option. Then I went to further in environmental health science. Okay. That's an aspect of microbiology too.
Right.
Then I went to do basic little trainings here and there on humanitarian services and stuff like that. But how did I get into the aspect of health? In 2009, I was told I had arthritis. And I was supposed to be billed for a hip replacement surgery. Then someone told me, go and be eating herbs. And then my mother reminded me that I've been telling you this. So I started out grudgingly. I got some small results and went on. But in 2012, my husband fell sick very badly. And I'm sure you know this story. And I had tried every doctor, hospitals basically rejected us. I mean, just go home. Kept running tests and tests and tests. There was nothing conclusive said to us until somebody said, why don't you go and see Reverend Tony? And I asked myself, is Reverend Tony a doctor? Because I know that Reverend Tony is a pastor. That day you were traveling and then you said, just send a mail. I sent a mail. You responded and we tried to do those things. Then Mrs. Tomisoni, one of your proteges, came, started giving us juices. And that stabilized him till you came back. When you came back, sir, we came to see you, gave us some protocols. Now, he was not willing to do those things. When I did those juices, he would look at them and tell me, it looks awful, then I'll drink it. He would look at them and say, it's not nice, then I'll drink it. Eventually, he opted to go to India for further treatment. We got to India, and the doctor said it was hopeless. In 10 days, he was dead.
Oh, my God.
So by the time I came back from India, I discovered that I was free of pain. My hip, my joints, practically every part of me was free of pains.
Because you were the one drinking
Because
his
I was the one
juices.
taking all the concoctions. And that made me want to investigate. And that's what led me to Rafa Institute of Healthy Living, where I did Module 1, Module 2, Module 3. And it became a passion. It became well, I call it a vendetta against cancer, because he died of cancer.
Okay.
And then my dad died a year after of cancer too. You know, so it became like
Double
I have
blow.
something against cancer.
Right.
And that's how I then further decided to study further.
Okay.
And that's how I got into naturopathy. By
Right.
the way, I did my naturopathy partially online. National Open University for Integrative Medicine in Sri Lanka.
Okay.
And then some part of it in Lagos here. They come to Nigeria to teach briefly,
Okay.
and then they send our certificates, and that's basically how I got here, sir.
Wow. So we can see how sometimes God works all things together for good.
Yes, sir.
You've been hit below the belt twice.
Yep.
Your husband, your
Father.
dad, by the same
The same demon.
same. And so now you are anti-cancer personified.
That's it.
You really, really, really want to kick cancer's butt. So cancer will know
God help
that.
me. I will.
And God indeed will help you.
Amen.
I mean, it's always like that. For those who understand how God can turn around negative things to bring positive things out of it. So now you have decided to go on a journey to equip yourself,
Yes, sir.
educate yourself, arm yourself with the tools to be able to help other people so that they don't have to go through or experience the same
What I
thing
did. Yes.
that you have experienced. And by the way, for the purpose of updating the records so people know where you are right now.
Okay. I am remarried to
Aha.
Mr. Ladeshu.
Okay. All right. So that people know exactly where you are. Thank God
Exactly.
for that.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So now we want to go into naturopathy,
Okay.
which is your area of training, area of qualification right now.
Yes, sir.
Apart from microbiology, medical lab, science laboratory technology, and then environmental health and all of that. And then, of course, you're a healthy living ambassador.
Yes, sir.
A graduate of the Rafa Institute of Healthy Living. Okay, good. Now, let's delve into naturopathy. What precisely is this medical system called naturopathy, and how does it differ from conventional medicine or allopathy?
Okay.
Yeah. So define what naturopathy is and do a compare and contrast
Between the two.
between the two so that people's mind can be, enlightened to know that, okay, this is what they call allopathy, this is what they call naturopathy, and this is why this one is different from this. And are there areas of overlap where they are similar? Let's see all of that.
Okay. Naturopathy is a primary healthcare system that encourages prevention or emphasizes prevention, treatment, and holistic health.
Okay.
We use protocols that encourage the innate ability of the body to heal itself.
Okay.
So basically, naturopathy is centered or directed at the whole person. In other words, in naturopathy, we believe that the person has the ability to heal herself or himself. In everybody, the gene for self-healing is programmed into the DNA.
Okay.
And that's what naturopathy works on. So we use natural things, basically natural things, encouraging the body. On the other hand, allopathy is the regular medical system we're used to. Where you go to a primary healthcare giver, it's still primary healthcare because you're dealing directly with the patient.
Okay.
But in this case, we're using very different methods.
Okay.
We're not looking at, they're not necessarily looking at your innate ability to heal itself, as it were. They're looking at how to help your body to heal. So they use protocols like drugs, they use things like surgery, they do things like radiation to help the body to heal. Now, the differences would be that allopathy would not be centered on the holistic person. Okay. Naturopathy is centered on the holistic person. For example, somebody may be having arthritis and it's a psychological thing. So a naturopath would want to delve into several things like what's going on in your life beyond the physical. Okay. Whereas allopathy is just, you tell me the symptoms, I treat you this. I give you things to solve the symptoms. Naturopathy will be looking at what is causing those symptoms. Okay. But basically, they are both primary healthcare systems. Incidentally, in Nigeria, naturopathy is not yet that common. Right. And it's an upcoming field, although people are fighting nail and tooth to ensure that we get heard and we get known there.
Thank you very much. If I heard you correctly, I think one or two things you have highlighted regarding the two systems is that, number one, allopathy more or less, correct me if I'm wrong, allopathy more or less says, hey, you're sick, your body has certain maladies, certain symptoms, and your body is considered helpless in helping itself recover from that thing. So they say, body, don't worry. We will bring external things to come and help you.
Exactly.
Take over that responsibility.
That's it.
But naturopathy is saying, no, your body should be able to attend to this issue. Your body has an innate ability to heal, to repair. But because that innate ability, maybe it is weak, it has not kicked in. And now, rather than bring an external helper, you want to stimulate that innate ability to do its job.
Yes, sir.
But hey, you can't go to sleep now. Wake up, do your job.
Do your job. That's
so you are stimulating that inner thing with different protocols and modalities.
Yes,
so
sir.
Working with the body.
Yes, working with
to effect healing, rather than suspending the body's own mechanism of healing and bringing something from outside, the outside to do it. Okay, good. They are signaling to me that we are halfway already. I don't know, we have not even started. Anyway, we are going to go on a short break. And then when we are back, we will continue this conversation. Please don't go away. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back. This is Expose, brought to you by the Shepherd's Flock International Church. I am your regular host, Tony Akinyemi. We are dealing with medical systems, and we have looked at various medical systems. Today, our focus is on naturopathy. And we have in the house a naturopathic practitioner who also has backgrounds in various other areas of wellness and health. She's also a lecturer, a facilitator at the Rafa Institute of Healthy Living, Mrs. Nike Aladeshuyi. You're welcome once again.
Thank you, Daddy.
So far, she has told us what naturopathy is. She has helped us in some way to understand the distinction between naturopathy and allopathy. And by the way, for those who are not still very well familiar, allopathy is orthodox medicine, conventional medicine. That's allopathy. The hospitals, the doctors, the nurses, the pharmacists, they practice allopathic medicine, the ones you are used to. But there are other medical systems that have different underpinnings and different philosophies in practicing medicine and attending to people's health challenges. And naturopathy happens to be one of them. Now, we want to look a little deeper again. Naturopathy has some undergirding principles that guide and govern the naturopathic doctor in his or her practice of naturopathic medicine. To the best of my knowledge, I also have read up a little bit on naturopathy and the rest of that, and I'm aware that there are 6 basic principles of naturopathy. I'd like you to educate us on this platform. What are the 6 principles of naturopathic medicine? And then we'll take each of the principles one by one and just elaborate. I mean, you don't have to take it to the point where people become certified, but at least let them have an understanding. Okay, these are the principles. So when you meet a naturopathic doctor, at least you have at the back of your mind the principles guiding him or her in doing whatever he or she does in attending to your case. Okay, this is how his mind is working. This is how her mind is working. All right. So what are those principles of naturopathic medicine?
So, like you said, sir, we have 6 basic principles of naturopathy. The first one is do no harm. In other words, the naturopath is not supposed to harm his patient. Of course, no doctor wants to harm their patient deliberately.
Right.
But we try to ensure that our protocols do not have harmful side effects, basically. So when you give anything or you do anything with a patient, the first thing you have at the back of your mind is he's not going to depreciate as a result of your protocols.
Okay.
So somebody who is not stooling is not supposed to unnecessarily stool to a point of breaking down because of your protocol. Somebody who was not sick before is not supposed to have nausea, dizziness, and falling sick because of your protocols. So basically, we try not to harm the patient. That's the first principle.
Now, can I interject here?
Yes, sir.
Could that be why the various protocols of allopathy are more or less invasive?
Allopathy or naturopathy?
Sorry, naturopathy. I meant to say naturopathy. Less invasive.
Yes, because, for example, we use some principles, some protocols like nutritional medicine.
Okay.
We use things like physical manipulations and stuff like that.
Right.
Basically, the first thing to do is comfort your patient.
Okay.
Because once the patient is breaking down, you find it difficult to go on.
Okay.
For example, someone called me at 6 a.m. this morning to say, I am stooling very badly. I had to say, stop what you're doing, do something else, stop the stooling. We will still get back to that.
Okay.
So we can't have her break down. Because in the process of breaking down, you may not be able to get to where you are going.
Right.
The person will just fizzle out. The person will just chicken out. So we try to ensure that our protocols are not invasive as much as possible so that the patient doesn't break down. Secondly,
so before you go to the second one, let me emphasize again. The first principle is first do no harm. Thank you.
Do no harm.
Okay.
The second principle is the healing power of nature.
Okay.
And that is to buttress the fact that everybody has the innate ability to heal itself or to heal himself.
Right.
Every cell in the body has the DNA of self-healing programmed in there.
Right.
So we use natural things. Natural things. We use things done by nature. So it could be water, it could be your food.
Okay.
It could be the temperature, it could be the air. Things made by nature for our
synthetic
healing.
materials.
Nothing synthetic is done in naturopathy.
Okay.
Even when we do infusions and stuff like that, it is basically natural things we put in.
All right.
Exactly. Then we do principle 3 says identify and treat the causes.
Okay.
So somebody presents to me and says, I have a cough, I have a cold, I'm not going to be looking at the cough and the cold. I'm going to be looking at why is he coughing? Why is he having a cold?
Okay.
Is the immunity low?
Right.
Has he been exposed to some pathogens?
Okay.
Is he reacting to something he ate or something in the air? Those will be the thoughts behind my head. Not necessarily, so let me give you something to stop the cold. So my protocol for that person may not even stop the cold in the first 2 days. But I'll be treating what has caused the cough or the cold, as it were. The trigger, exactly.
Right.
Then in naturopathy, the doctor is a teacher. So a patient sits in front of a naturopath.
That's the fourth principle?
That's the fourth principle.
Okay.
I am going to teach you why I am telling you to do certain things.
That's quite unlike our experiences with
the
allopathic.
Yes, I think our
doctors.
trainings are basically different from each other.
Because sometimes you're in the front of the doctor, and of course, I don't really blame them, because quite often I don't blame them because of the doctor-patient ratio.
Yes, sir.
You have one
Especially
doctor
here.
is overworked, particularly in a climb like ours.
Yes, sir.
You're so overworked, several people are queuing up all day, and the guy has no time to attend to 200 patients in one day. So he just is spending 10 minutes with each person. As you come in, he looks at all the investigations. This is the BP, the vital signs. Okay, blood sugar. Okay, Any headache? Yeah. Yes. Any nausea? Yeah. Before you say yes, prescription is over.
Prescription, yes.
And you say, doctor, what is the name of that drug that you gave me, and what are the possible side effects? You say, don't ask me any question. Just take your medicine the way I told you to take it. Compliance. That's all. You know. But you are saying that the naturopath is not like that.
The naturopath has to teach.
Okay.
Now, for the conventional, sometimes they do that to avoid drug abuse, because people just go and buy those things.
Right.
Just buy. But for the naturopath, we teach you why you do certain things. As a matter of fact, most of the things we do with you, you have to do yourself.
Right.
For example, I put somebody on nutritional medicine. I give you some plans on what to eat and what not to eat. I'm not likely to come and cook it for you. I have to teach you how you're going to cook it, what time you're going to eat it, how you're going to eat it.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you the reactions you should be expecting.
Okay.
In case you get a reaction when I'm not reachable,
right,
you won't be too panicked.
Okay.
So we coach our patients. Now, the reason why we need to coach them also is because we see them as they can heal themselves.
Right.
They have the power to heal themselves. I don't have any power to heal anybody anyway. And there's no assurance that if I prescribe multivitamins or nutritional supplements, that it's going to hit my target as it were, if the patient is not prepared.
Right.
So we teach them, we get them to know why those protocols. And then some of our protocols can seem ridiculous. So you need to teach.
Okay.
For example, I had a patient today who asked, who has not been sleeping, and I said, do hot and cold shower. And then he looked at me like, what's that going to do for me? Give me supplements. I said, no, you do not need supplements. Just go and try it first. This is what that one would do. This is what the cold water would do. And then the warm water. And then after you have done 2-3 days, no results, come back, we will talk. So the naturopath is more of a teacher than just an
As a matter of fact, the word doctor means teacher.
Oh, okay.
Doctor means teacher,
that. Okay.
That's what it means, primarily, from the etymology of the word. Yeah. That's why those who are academic doctors, PhD holders, are called doctors. Because they know so much about their subject matter, they can teach anybody and they can coach anybody. That's why they call them Dr. XYZ, Dr. ABC. Anyway, yeah. And then you also made mention of the fact that the naturopath, teaches and coaches the patient, and the patient is the one that's more or less going to do most of those things by themselves. That's why one of my friends is an American, a Caucasian, and he told me that he doesn't call his patients. He calls them campers. They come to camp in a boot camp, and they are coached for 3 weeks how to live life.
Wow.
How to cook, how to eat, what to avoid, how to exercise, how to distress. They coach them in the boot camp. So he calls his patients campers.
Wow.
Because he sees himself not as a typical prescribe and inject, but a coach, an instructor. Another friend of mine also, his own clinic is in Nigeria here. He calls his own patients, he calls them partners. He doesn't call them patients. He said, they are my partners. We partner together to work this out. You are sick, you want to get well, I team up with you. You and I form a partnership, and then I play my role in coaching. You play your role in implementing. You understand, you implement, and then I review and evaluate and see whether what we are doing is working or not, and then we carry on. That's how they work together. So rather than call them patients, they call them campers, they call them partners. Some people call them clients.
Yes,
I think the nomenclature is evolving to situate things properly within the context of these principles of Naturopathy.
Naturopathy, yes.
Okay, good. So we've done 4.
4, yes,
out
sir.
of the 6. Let's go on
Then
to
the 5th one says treat the whole person,
Okay.
meaning a person sitting in front of me. I would be looking at the eyes, I would be looking at the ears, I would be looking at the skin color, I would be looking at how he's composed,
Right.
I would be looking at the environment he lives in.
Okay.
It's a holistic thing.
Right.
Sometimes somebody is just not feeling well and cannot put a finger on what exactly it is.
Right.
I remember I sent someone to you some times ago, and we couldn't put a finger on what was wrong with him. And at the end of the day, we were just gisting. He just came visiting and we were gisting. And it just dawned on both of us. He just said something, and it just clicked that was what was wrong.
Okay.
That was causing, and he had gone from place to place. He had done several things. It was just a stress thing. It's just his timing to sleep and timing to wake up.
Right.
So it's a holistic, we treat the whole person. You look
Right.
at your environment, your family life.
Right.
You look at your job. You look at your lifestyle, whether you're sedentary, whether you eat well, whether you drink enough water. We put all of that into factor into whatever modalities are going to be used for the person.
Good. That will bring us into a little bit, digression into mental health, for example.
Yes, sir.
Because sometimes, people have symptoms that they feel in their bodies that mimic certain known medical conditions.
Yes.
Maybe sometimes somebody has maybe generalized anxiety disorder, and he is having symptoms that mimic symptoms of cardiovascular problems.
Yes, sir. And that is very common now.
Yeah, particularly since the COVID-19 pandemic broke out. I have personally seen several people who sit in front of me for counseling. They said, I don't know what is wrong. In fact, there was a guy who was sitting in front of me. Everything about his life was good. Very beautiful wife, beautiful home, beautiful marriage, wonderful children, good job, very good job. And all the tests that he did, medical tests, everything came out fine, nothing wrong.
Wow.
But this guy sat in front of me, was looking at me, and tears were rolling out from his eyes. So I don't know what is wrong with me. Pastor, help me. Pastor, help me. I looked at him and I said, look, this is mental health issue. And when I say mental health, I'm not talking about madness and insanity.
Exactly.
Because some people, they mistake that when you talk about mental health, they're thinking about somebody walking naked on the street. It's not about that. Depression.
Depression, yes,
schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, anxiety, worry, all of these things are mental, emotional imbalances. These are all mental health issues. And some people have become so agitated, so troubled, so worried, stiff. Some of them, it even gravitates into insomnia. They can't sleep.
Yes, sir.
Some of them, loss of appetite. Some of them become really, they become gluttonous. They start overeating, all kinds of different things. Yeah. So when you talk about holistic, treating the total person, it's not just about looking at, okay, I have a headache, or I have insomnia, or I have hypertension. It's about, apart from blood tests, apart from radiological investigations and various other, medical tests that are conducted, are there other things in that person's life that could be contributing to all of this, like their marriage, like their finances, like their businesses, like their career, like their children. Maybe they have delinquent children, and all of these things are bothering them, and that is what is kind of aggravating and contributing to the issue. So in naturopathy, you look at the whole person, treat the whole person, not just treating symptoms. Good. We have done number 5. I think we have one more.
The final one is prevention.
Prevention, good.
And then we say that prevention is a million times better than cure. Because sometimes cure is not possible.
Yeah.
Sometimes cure is just not possible. So, as naturopaths, we believe that it's not until you fall sick before you start taking care of yourself. Right. So we try to educate people to ensure that what you do, how you live, how you eat, your environment is important to ensure your health at the long run. So some of the things we do are preventive protocols. We get people to, you're not sick, I just get to meet somebody and we're talking, and I'm telling you, don't do this, don't do that, and they look at me like, what's wrong with her? You are paranoid. No, it's not. It's not that I'm paranoid. It's just that I know that those things will help you to prevent some things in the future. You know, there was someone I spoke to 2 years. I was not even in naturopath 2 or 3 years ago, and I was telling the person, at this rate, you need to slow down so that you do not have blood pressure. And the person looked at me, typical Christian. I reject it in Jesus' name. So I said, I'm a Christian. I'm not prophesying. I'm just saying, please slow down so you don't get there. Unfortunately, he got there. He got there very badly.
No.
He got there and slumped and all of that. And then when he called me, Nike Shumokwe, I said, okay. So let's start talking reversal now, when prevention would have stopped that from happening. So we emphasize on prevention too, as part of the principles of naturopathy.
Good. That reminds me of what one particular, I read it in a book actually. I think it was a medical doctor who wrote that book, a conventional medical doctor, an allopathic doctor, but who is very keen and very interested in holistic medicine. Now, he said, when you are young, it is the police officer that tells you to slow down. He said, but when you get older, it is the doctor that tells you to slow down.
Okay. So somebody's going to be talking to you.
You know, when young people clock 18 and they get their first driver's license,
yes, so
and they can drive, they think when they speed at 150 kilometers per hour, that's what shows that you can drive. So they get tickets all the time. The police wave them down and tell them to slow down. You are overspeeding. Slow down. This is 80 kilometer per hour zone. You are going at 120. Wow. So when you are young, it is the police that tells you to slow down. But when you get older, it is the doctor that tells you to slow down. Because when people get into their 40s, 50s, thereabout, that is when they have been, they have paid their dues. They have worked wherever they are serving. They have served, whether in the civil service or in the private sector or in their own businesses, public sector, wherever, and they have risen to, leadership levels. Yes. They are now executive directors. They are now general managers, AGMs, CEOs. So a lot of responsibilities. And because of that, they are running from pillar to post. They are doing it from meeting to meeting, from Kutuwenji to Kafanchan to Honolulu to, all over the place. And that is when they begin to develop all kinds of health challenges, hypertension, cardiovascular issues, stroke, and arthritis, insomnia, and all kinds of things. And so the doctor is the one that will now be saying, Oga, take it easy, take it easy. All this money you are chasing, if you want to be alive to spend it, you better slow down, okay? So, anticipating things and making sure that those things don't happen eventually, because these things are predictable. They are really predictable. Many people don't realize that. Let me give an illustration. Maybe you see a child who is in high school, and is playing truancy. He doesn't go for classes. He misses, or maybe an undergraduate. He doesn't go for lectures, doesn't do his homework, doesn't submit his term papers, and all of that. And you look at him and say, young man, the way you are going, you are going to come out with an ordinary pass, or you are going to be shown the way out. You are going to drop out, or you are going to fail your WAEC. And he says, don't curse me. I mean, you don't have to be a prophet to know that the path you have chosen, this is where it will lead. And when it comes to our health, it's the same thing. Many people do things, and when you tell them, don't do that, they say, leave me alone. You said, don't call bad thing for me. Don't call bad thing for me. But we can see that you are adding 2 and 2. Your answer will be 4. So prevention, I think, is a very key aspect of our wellness and whatever. So since you have touched upon that as the 6th principle of naturopathy, I'm going to ask you again to elaborate, but this time make it specific, bullet form. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. What are preventive actions or measures or steps? Name 4 for me. Things I should be doing by way of trying to prevent disease in my life. Okay, I don't want to have hypertension. I don't want to have diabetes. Okay. I don't want to have arthritis. What preventive things should I be doing?
Okay. I'll start with sunlight, sunshine exposure. I would say good air.
Right.
Good water. Eat appropriately.
Well, when you say eat appropriately, that needs defining, you know. You have to, because somebody's definition of appropriate meal could be noodles.
Yes, so
another person's could be
in this day,
fried food, you know, and fast food. Yeah.
Okay, so I would say eat appropriately, and when I say eat appropriately, I mean eat a lot of vegetables and fruits.
Okay.
Eat fruits in the morning, eat vegetables in the evening, and possibly your cooked food in the afternoon. You are the one that taught me that. Then, good water. Drink a lot of water.
What constitutes good water?
Good water. Water that is clean, water that is not polluted, water that is not chemicalized as much as possible.
What kind of chemicals do they normally add to water?
Chlorine, fluorine.
So chlorinated water, fluoridated water,
okay. And all of those.
Need to stay away from those.
We need to stay away from those.
Right.
So drink your water as natural as possible.
Okay.
Exercise is another important thing.
Right.
A lot of us do not get to exercise. Sleep. Some people don't get to
And you
sleep.
see, amazingly, these things are
They are available,
basic
they are
things
cheap,
that
they are free.
Sometimes, you don't pay for
Many
them.
of them you don't pay
But
for.
we just don't value them.
We don't value
because we don't know the importance, the value they add to our wellness.
Sleep.
Right.
So when you sleep, your body
How many
gets
hours a
to
day?
heal. I would say 7 to 8. Some people say 6 to 8.
Okay.
But I like to sleep, so I do the 8.
And when is the best time to sleep?
For me, 9 o'clock is fine. You say 10, I say 9. That's because I like to sleep. So
Well, maybe I chose 10 because
because you like to work.
I used to be a night what do I call it? A night marauder. My day will end at 4 a.m.
But really, anytime from
But I have
9,
changed,
10.
I have changed, yeah.
Daddy.
I have improved. I've improved.
You have improved. So anytime from 9, wind down whatever activities you are. Even if you don't get to sleep at 9, like I shut down my phone at 9. I put it on silent. So it's only if I need or choose to pick calls. Really, between 9 and 10, I won't. By 10, I'm sleeping. Anyhow. Then by 4, 5, I'm up. So you
early to bed, early to rise.
Exactly. I've gotten some good quality.
When Dr. John Tor was here a few episodes ago on this same Expose platform, he actually explained why it is more beneficial to sleep early than to sleep late, saying that when you sleep at 9 or 10, between 10 and 1 a.m., that your body actually secretes a lot of melatonin.
Melatonin, yes.
And he says, as far as it's concerned, melatonin is not just a sleep hormone, it's actually an anti-aging hormone.
A healing hormone.
Yeah. And he says the more of it you have, the more anti-aging effect you have.
Yes, sir.
And that as from 4 a.m. or thereabouts in the morning, it shuts down. Yeah, the production shuts down. So even if you are sleeping from 4 to 8, you are wasting your time, more or less.
Yes, more or less.
So the best time to sleep.
You get some little rest, but that's just about
it. But to get the melatonin effect, it has to be from 9, 10 till 1 a.m., 2 a.m., maximum 4 a.m., thereabout. Good. Yeah.
And then the body secretes certain hormones to heal certain parts.
Okay.
During different times of the day.
Right.
So by 4, 5, all that is done.
So your rejuvenation actually takes place
between 9 and 4, 5.
So that will fit into my DAR cycle.
Yes, sir.
Good. Why not explain that?
Okay, the DAR cycle talks about detoxification in the morning, assimilation in the afternoon, and rejuvenation in the night. So it's a cycle the body goes through every day. So it goes consistently, a cycle. So between 4 a.m. and 12 noon thereabout, 11 thereabout, your body wants to detoxify, meaning your body wants to clean house. Just like you wake up in the morning, you brush, you have your bath, your body wants that done internally. So that's the time to take your water, warm water if you can. I love to add lemon to mine. That's the time to exercise. That's a good time to do the sauna. That's a good time to drink your juices, vegetable juices. And that's the time to eat your fruits.
So all those things help to support the cleansing that the body is attempting to do.
So that the liver's detoxification efforts is helped. So whatever the liver produces to clean out can get out through the anus, through the urine, through the sweat. And it's not stuck up in the body. Then between 11, 12 thereabout and 4 p.m., your body wants to assimilate. Is that 4 p.m.? 4 p.m. So that's the time to eat your good food.
Your pounded
cooked
yam.
food, your pounded yam.
Amala.
Your ikokore, daddy. And then that's the time to eat potatoes. That's the time to eat cooked food. Of course, like you teach us, you should precede your cooked food with a salad. That's to aid digestion.
Right.
And then to reduce the level of enzyme depletion in the body.
Yeah.
Then
Probably
at
also
night,
to cut down on calories.
yes, will help you to keep fit.
So
Then
you
at
don't
night,
become obese.
between 4 p.m. and
8 p.m. you mean?
between 8 p.m. and 4 a.m.
Right.
your body just wants to rest.
Right.
So that's the time to start winding out from 8 p.m. Start shutting down. That's not the time to eat. So you stop eating really by 7.
So
And that's where I get issues with a lot of clients.
somebody who lives in a place like Lagos, how do they practice that? How is that practicable for somebody who works in Lagos? He leaves his work at 6 and doesn't get home until 10.
And then some people say, I don't eat out.
Yeah. So how do they? I know what you have said is the ideal thing to do, but what I want us to do is to help those out there who are saying, hey, how am I going to be able to do this? Suggest some practical things that they can do to help them to overcome that challenge.
Okay, so what I usually tell people is, I don't eat out may not work when you want to do that.
Okay.
What you can do, part of what you can do is carry your food.
Okay.
Carry the things you want to eat.
In a
I
warmer.
always see you in this kind of cup, with this kind of cup. And I try to go about with one. So my breakfast smoothies, I go about with it.
Okay.
So that in the mornings, I'm able to do my detoxification.
Right.
Okay, so today now I didn't come out with any breakfast smoothie. I had a cup of tiger nuts.
Okay.
And then I've been drinking water.
Tiger nut milk.
Tiger nut milk.
Okay.
Then I've been drinking water.
Right.
Then for lunch, if I'm not anywhere around my house, I look for somewhere where I can eat vegetable soup and pounded yam.
Good.
If I'm not anywhere around my house.
Okay.
So I don't eat out may not necessarily work if you have that kind of schedule that you're always out.
Right.
And for me, I carry my food.
Okay.
But then some people, men, do not like to carry food. So if you can have somebody deliver the food to you, that's another option.
Right.
I have people who say, deliver food to me, and then we get people to deliver the food to them in their offices. Then when you get home, now women do not like it when you come home and you don't eat our food. So then we now educate the women to say, you know what, make the food lighter in the night. So do salad and do some small pap. Do salad and do some small smoothie, oat swallow, something
Very light,
reasonable
very
that
light.
somebody can eat.
They can
to
actually
walk around
have
it.
family eating together time on Saturday, Sunday.
On Saturday, Sunday, yes, and then
You
do
know?
weekends. But then some people
Yeah.
don't even have their weekends to themselves.
Well, anyhow, depending on each person's situation, I believe they should be
Walk
able to work
around,
something around
exactly,
it.
walk
The
around
important thing is to understand why these things are necessary and to see how in your own particular situation you can fit it into your plan. Yeah, I believe we have exhausted our time for today, and we will need to round up. Before you go, however, I know one or two people may want to say, how do we get in touch with Mrs. Aladeshuyi?
Okay.
So you may want to give us your website, maybe your office address, your telephone number, your WhatsApp number, your email address, whichever one is convenient for you, how people can reach you.
Okay.
And the name of your outfit, if you have one.
Okay, my outfit is named Therapio Center. Therapio means healing therapies.
That's Greek.
Basically, in Greek, exactly. So, Therapio Center.
Okay.
So, basically, we do healing therapies there. We believe by the grace of God, people will get
And where are you located? In Abuja, in Port
I
Harcourt?
am in Lagos.
Oh, Lagos. I see.
I'm in
I knew that. I was
Lagos.
just
I'm in Lagos. I'm located in Agege.
Lagos,
around,
Nigeria.
Lagos,
Okay.
Nigeria. My phone number is 080, that's plus 23480 6610 8880 or 081 7447 2374. I got that.
Yeah. Okay.
Then
Email.
organics for iCube or therapiocenter at gmail, either of the two. Therapiocenter at gmail.com, organics for figure 4 iCube at gmail.com.
That center, is it spelled British or American?
CENTRE.
Okay, that's British. Right. Okay. All right. Thank you very much for choosing to be with us today to answer our questions on naturopathy.
Thank you,
We definitely
Daddy.
have not finished because, as you can see, I still have more questions that time did not
Legalities.
permit us to ask. So, like I normally tell other practitioners, we must do part 2.
Okay, so.
And in part 2, I want us to prepare to talk about different protocols and modalities used in naturopathy.
Okay.
All the various protocols, and we just explain what each one is and the benefits that they offer to the body when we undertake such protocols. Okay. Things like, you mentioned infusions the other time.
Yes.
Now, what are infusions?
Okay.
And then you explain it, and what are the benefits, in what instances would a person need those infusions. Then hydrotherapy, detoxification, all those modalities, we'll look at them in the next episode. And then I will also want you to let us know which health challenges in particular are you, that constitute your areas of proficiency. That's okay. If somebody has arthritis, I will say go and see I will refer you to another person. But if you have diabetes, oh yeah, I'm available here. I can handle that very well. I'm very comfortable with that. So areas of proficiency where people can say, okay, if I have this challenge and I see Mrs. Alade, she will work with me, and by the grace of God, we'll make progress. So that's what will be our focus for next episode. So please, viewers, make it a date with us next Monday on the same platform, same time. Again, on Expose. Don't forget, what we need is not more medication, but more education. And the best prescription is knowledge. For to be informed is to be transformed, and to be uninformed is to be deformed. Thank you for your time. Have a very wonderful evening today. God bless you, and bye-bye.